Executive Director of Priests for Life. Welcome to our program. Well, did you ever think about what you could do outside an abortion clinic? Besides, of course, there's people who go out there and pray, which is a very important thing to do. And we have the 40 Days for Life campaign, which again is wonderful. People praying outside the abortion clinic, praying for the moms, praying for the babies that are about to be killed. But you can take it one step further. You could try to intervene with that mom and try to offer her help. Well, joining me today, we're going to have a little mini class on how to do that and how to get involved, is an expert who has been out on the front lines in front of abortion clinics for decades, saving babies by practically reaching out to those women. So I'm so happy today to be joining Brian Gibson, Executive Director of Pro-Life Action Ministries.
Good to be on the show with you, Janet. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So tell us, Brian, how did you first get involved in this passion? I have to say you were passionate about intervening with these women out in front of abortion clinics. But
so do we have 2 hours?
Well, you're going to have to tell it quickly.
The short story.
How did you get involved?
Well, first of all, I grew up in a very profoundly pro-life family, very profoundly Catholic family, very faith-filled parents. I'm one of 9 children.
Wow.
I'm the third from the oldest, and I had a younger brother who passed away 2 years ago now, but Matthew was mentally and physically handicapped. And Dad's witness to us was that God had given us a special gift in the family.
Uh-huh.
So we grew up knowing and understanding this. And so when about the time Roe versus Wade came down, I was in high school, and there was a lot of national debate in the news about abortion and why it should be made legal and all these other things. And of course, one of the reasons being thrown out there was we wouldn't have to deal with these retarded people anymore.
Wow.
And that just hit me. It was like,
that's my brother.
Exactly. You want to kill my brother is what hit my mind. And so that was the germ. That was the beginning of my pro-life active work. I didn't actually start doing it until much later, 1981. I ran across brother Michael Gorski and brother Paul O'Donnell, who were just starting what became Pro-Life Action Ministries. And I heard Michael talking, and I realized it just was like a switch click. This is what I need to be a part of. I didn't know it'd be full-time. I thought it was going to be just
a little hobby.
And for the first 5 years, I was simply an active volunteer. Right. But then they decided that they wanted to hire someone, and for whatever reason it was
you.
I got to be the first full-time hire for the organization, and just within a couple of years, I was named the executive director and I've been running it ever since.
Wow. So, and that started about what year?
Well, I went full-time in 1986.
Wow.
And I took over full-time. I took over in the beginning of 1989, so less than 3 years later.
And of course, you're up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where in the wintertime, the temperatures are very frosty, aren't they? And you're outside in front of that clinic all the time, right?
Depending upon your perspective,
right.
It could be considered cold, yes.
I mean, it gets below zero.
It doesn't always get above below zero.
Yeah.
So yes, in the wintertime, I purposefully have a day every week that I go out sidewalk counseling unless there's something that very serious that interrupts that. So I have my own time. We started organizing sidewalk counseling in 1981, and it was the first organized sidewalk, not the first sidewalk counseling, but it was the first
where there was training involved.
Brother Paul started creating this training, and then they started. Both of them were speaking even at a National Right to Life convention, encouraging people to get involved in sidewalk counseling. And they started training sessions there at those conventions. And then we started getting volunteers together who would take the training and then give time to be out in front of the abortion facilities. And one of the very first things they came up with was to do this in shifts. Because when you're at an abortion clinic where women are going in for abortions, it can be over a pretty long period of time during the day, starting like around 8 in the morning is when most start, and going till well into the early to mid afternoon that women can still be coming for abortions. And to be out there that whole time
It's rough. It's a lot of hours.
Yeah, it wouldn't be so bad in Florida weather,
But in
but in the
Minneapolis,
winter in Minnesota,
yeah,
no.
it's cold.
So they came up with this idea of trying to do it in 2-hour shifts.
Right.
So my every Wednesday time in front of the highest volume Planned Parenthood in the United States is I take actually 2.5 hours because I get there a half hour before the women's first appointments are. You want to be there before they show up. So
Right. So now, when you talk about sidewalk counseling training, give us an idea. Like maybe someone's listening right now and they said, I wonder if I could do that. What are some of the basics in order to be a sidewalk counselor?
Well, one of the things we like to do when we're promoting the idea of taking our training is that if you can hand out a piece of literature, you can save a life. And so, the way things are right now in 2022, we don't sidewalk counsel at any location that does not have clinic escorts. Okay, so there are clinic personnel who stand outside the abortion facilities while we're standing out on the public sidewalk outside the abortion facility, and their whole job is to interfere with us, trying to offer information to the women. Okay, so they're pro-choice, they say. Sounds anti-choice to me, right? Which is what they call us.
Right.
But so the training is going to be about attitude, about how the mental condition you should have, the spiritual condition you should have. You need to be prayerful. You need to be peaceful. You need to be kind, despite all sorts of bizarre things that can come at you. Hateful things that can come at you in words and sometimes.
Well, I can imagine the clinic escorts are not so nice.
Well, right? I'll give you a prime example. So in the last year, well, not even a year, but during this past year, they Planned Parenthood put 2 new clinic escorts on me. And the one of them is so nasty, it is off the charts. This woman, the entire time I'm out there, when she is there, is verbally sexually harassing me.
Wow.
Almost the entire time. She also gets into these very strange, I wouldn't say tirades, but just her taunting and all sorts of.
But that must interfere too with almost making a woman gets out of her car, starts walking towards the clinic for her abortion appointment. How does that all interact?
Well, we don't have that.
No.
So at this particular location, the women drive in. Our only point of contact is as they drive in a driveway.
Oh, wow.
So we have to try and
get the car to stop.
Get enough attention that they'll stop and roll down their window.
Wow.
And then we only have precious few moments because
10 seconds maybe.
If that.
Yeah.
2 seconds it may be, because the
clinic
escort's now going to be coming to the window where I'm already standing and yelling at the woman, trying to keep her from even hearing what I'm saying.
Right.
And of course, telling her the whole time she's got to drive, she can't block the driveway, whatever. There's nobody to block. But so again, you have to have the training is really how to deal with these situations.
Right.
When you have those few moments, what do you say that's going to have the opportunity to grab that woman's
And well,
heart?
what do you say? Because I know you've saved quite a few babies. So what do you say?
Well, let me back up before the saying. Because
Okay.
the first thing I'm doing is I'm smiling and waving. I want to get their attention.
Right.
I want to be friendly to them.
Right.
I want the women to see that somebody friendly, I'm an old white guy out there standing on the sidewalk.
So you want to wave and
so
smile.
I don't want to, and of course the caricature, which unfortunately has been produced by some bad actors in the pro-life movement in the past, especially. The caricature is we're hateful and we're screamers and we're all. I don't do those things, but so you gotta be presentable.
Right.
This woman's coming to a place to deal with what she thinks is her problem, and this is the good place to go to take care of your problem. Yeah. And unfortunately, Planned Parenthood has this amazingly good image for too many people. So, how do you counter all that? Well, all you can do is be kind and smile. And it's hard to smile from a place where they're killing people.
Right.
That was the hardest thing for me personally to learn to do, to be able to get more literature out. So, and we have literature that is designed that if not even a word is ever spoken, if they'll look through the literature, it'll save the life of that child. because
Ah,
it'll change that woman's mind.
okay.
So the literature, we produce our own for this very purpose. It's used all over the United States, and two languages, both Spanish and English, and so we use that a lot. And so, woman stops, she rolls down her window, and I'll first thing I'm saying is, please take this and read this before you get out of your car. I
Ah,
want her to know she's got it. Now, accompanying this literature that is a pamphlet on fetal development and how harmful abortion is and so forth, accompanying it is another sheet that has a list of all the pregnancy resources and all the other pro-life agencies that can help the woman in our
right in
whole
her,
area.
right in
In
the
our
area.
whole area.
Wow.
And this thing is printed double-sided, and the print is so tiny that these old eyes can't see them hardly anymore, but the young women can read them. And so then we have a pregnancy help center nearby. So I'm telling them there's help nearby. We can help you right now. And then I point to the fact that, and if you don't want to do it here nearby, you can do it near your home, because there's all these places on that sheet. So I'm getting her to start looking at the literature even before she finishes driving in. Now, if I've had this much time, which is rare, I get this much. If I've had this much time, I then will pull out a business card type card that is a map to this nearby pregnancy help center on, say, here, take this, you can go right to it. Because if they take the rest of the literature from her, which they do,
Really?
oh yes, they go out of their way to take it from her. I'll get to that in a moment.
All right.
But if they take everything else, she still can have this little card, and that can be enough.
Yeah.
That can be more than enough, because if you get to the pregnancy help center,
So what's your experience there, Brian? Because now you got her to roll down the window, even though this other person's screaming
yeah,
at the
this
two of you.
works even with people who have never seen cranks on windows.
Okay, so she's got the window down. You handed her that.
Right.
Then what happens? She normally puts the window up and she drives in.
Well, again, if there are no escorts, and there have been some times when they don't show up, so
Well,
this
that's
gives
good.
you more time, right? If there are no escorts, I'm going to get more time, and I'm going to start telling her to make sure she sees her ultrasound. I will tell her not to go in. Please come out now. We can go over right away. But if she still drives in, we want her to know that she should look at her ultrasound. Let her know that Planned Parenthood start, kind of put that germ, that seed in there, that Planned Parenthood is going to try and hide this. They aren't going to show this readily to you. But if you ask and you insist, they can and they will. And so we do that. And if I get more time, I'll start talking about the baby. I want that baby to become humanized for her.
Right. It's real.
So one occasion I had a woman who was actually walking up from the bus stop, which is very rare, but this woman was walking up from the bus stop. So I went out and greeted her a half a block away from Planned Parenthood. Better to talk as far away
as possible.
As far away as possible. So I went over to go talk to her, greeted her. She's walking toward Planned Parenthood, and just started talking to her about her situation. I started asking her, I'm asking her very personal questions out on a public sidewalk, but she's answering, and started talking about, I asked her if she was going to Planned Parenthood for an abortion. She said yes. Many will not tell us that. Many will lie to us.
Yeah.
Because they just want to get by us, right?
Right.
So, or they'll tell us the reason they're having the abortion is some extreme situation, like I was raped or something. Again, most often that's being said just so we shut up and they quit talking to them, right? Doesn't work, but they try. So and this is all part of our training. We train, these are all the different scenarios. Right. Here's the things you can hear. Here's what you need to say. So we'll start, I started talking to her about her baby and started talking about her boyfriend. And she said, well, I've got 2 children with him already. I said, well, you got 3.
Right. The baby already exists.
Right. And she stopped for just a moment, hesitation, and then agreed with me.
Yeah.
So now I knew I'm in a good spot with this. And so I started talking about her boyfriend. Is he a good dad? And she started saying yes. I said, will he provide for you? Will he provide for the baby? Will he help care for the baby? I just started asking all these questions about what he would do for the baby.
Very good.
And I kept bringing the baby in. Will he do this for your baby?
So did you get her not to go in the clinic?
No, she still went in.
Oh, no.
90% of the babies saved that we have, the woman still goes into the clinic.
Really?
Yes.
See, I would think once they're in, that's it.
It isn't always. And that's why we always hold out hope that something we've said, something they've received, something they've read
Yeah.
will still
So,
trigger
tell us
before they
about
come
that
back.
scenario
But
now.
she came out much quicker than most.
Uh-huh.
So she feels obligated to go cancel the abortion appointment.
Oh, wow.
And that's what we find a lot of too.
They go in because they want to cancel their appointment.
They
Look at that.
I got an appointment. I
Uh-huh.
can't just leave a doctor's appointment behind. That's their thinking.
Right.
So she came out very quickly because she was not going to go through with the abortion.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pretty confident she wouldn't as she went in.
Mm-hmm.
I really was with this one, but you never know because some, like you said, once they get in there,
well, they're being coerced.
They're being sold the abortion, right?
Of course. Yeah.
So that situation turned out to be a baby save. It was just absolutely wonderful. As she came back out, I started talking to her about all the help that's available and offering to take her someplace. She was saying, we don't need any help. We're okay.
Wow.
I just needed somebody to tell me it was okay to have the baby.
Imagine. Oh my goodness. So with the ones though that go in, and like you said, some time goes by and God only knows what is that final thing what happens for someone like that when they come back out? Do they come to talk to you? What do they usually do?
Most often they do. Now, again, just because of the logistical layout of this particular facility, the parking lot is deep on their property to be away from us on purpose. When they built this place in 2010, 2011, they built it to thwart our sidewalk counseling efforts as much as they could.
Right.
Because our old location, we had readily access for the women going in, and we were just saving a ton of babies at this place. So they built this to make it more difficult. God's got better plans, and it hasn't always worked their way, and God does his thing. So what they'll do is they'll be driving back out. They'll go to their car and they'll drive back out. And, not always are they planning to stop, but they'll wave and smile or something like that. And then we'll try and flag them down again. And most often they'll stop and start talking to us. Of course, now the clinic escorts,
it's coming over,
screaming at them to get out of the driveway again. You can't stop in it.
Oh gosh.
There are no other cars coming, but you're blocking the world's traffic or something.
So at that point,
so then
are they going to the pregnancy center then?
Sometimes not. What I have found is that a lot of the babies that we have documented being saved over the years, and I don't have statistical numbers, so I can't give you percentages, but there are plenty where the woman just simply needed to know that somebody thought enough to care for her baby, and she can take care of the child. She needs nobody else's help. She never needed anybody else's help, but fear was driving her into the abortion facility. But then there are those that actually need a lot of concrete help, a lot of, financial, medical, housing, transportation.
Well, on the pregnancy help center, they'll be able to give them all that.
And we make sure that we have the relationships with these help centers, and we have great confidence in the good work that they do. So we hand them off to those help centers very quickly. Now, there are times where we have to financially help out ourselves directly, and we will. But most often it's the pregnancy help centers that handle everything at that point.
So do the pregnancy help centers then contact you because they say to you like, oh, today at the center, we got one of these women who were at Planned Parenthood or they don't tell you?
No. The pregnancy help centers, most of them are becoming medical clinics, which is really good.
That's great. Yeah.
But because of that, they also abide by HIPAA very closely. Maybe a little more than I think they should, but that's not my call. It's their call.
Oh, I see. So they can't tell you.
They won't tell us because they believe that would be a patient confidentiality thing for them to be telling us something about a patient of theirs now.
Right.
We brought them there,
Right.
But they were never ours. They were never theirs, but
Right.
that's how it's handled. And that's okay. I have no problem with that. Again, part of our training, we train our sidewalk counselors that when that's the situation, make sure you get all the information ahead of time.
Right.
You're getting the woman to go over there, get her number then.
Right.
Find out who she is.
So you can follow up with her.
Yeah, I'd like to call and see how you're doing, make sure everything's going good.
Right.
You become fast friends.
Yeah.
And because she's made this very fundamental emotional decision and she's relieved.
Right.
And you're the person that just helped her make that relief-giving decision.
Not to
so
kill
now we're
her
friends.
Baby. Yeah. That's great.
And so we do try to follow up as much as we can.
So how do you document the baby saved? Like say last year, okay, 2021.
60 some, yeah, I'm not sure the number. We're almost at 3,600 babies that we've documented saved over the years. We have a triple criteria. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one is you have to have clear knowledge the woman was going there for an abortion appointment, a scheduled abortion appointment.
Right.
Okay. Now that may sound funny to some people out there because they're going to an abortion clinic, but most abortion clinics do a lot of other things, birth control and
Right.
STD testing and
Right.
cervical cancer checks and stuff like that. So especially at a big Planned Parenthood where half the volume of those walking in are not there for an abortion. So that's the first thing you got to
Mhm.
know. So you ask, you talk to them about it, and so forth. The second thing is that when there's got to be something that was because of our involvement that caused them not to have the abortion.
Right.
So the literature, a sign, something we said, we took them over to the pregnancy help center, whatever that might be. So we want to have a clear indicator that it was something we did, because some women won't have abortions because of other reasons. Often we find that a woman won't have abortions if she finds out she's carrying twins.
Really?
Now, she would have aborted a single baby.
But for two.
But she won't abort two. And so that woman may have not heard a thing we said, not taken any literature, ignored us on the way in, never rolled down a window, whatever, and then comes back out deciding not to have the abortion. So that one we would not document as a baby saved, but it's a baby saved.
Right.
It's,
obviously.
praise God.
Praise
God saves
saved.
all these babies. We just document the ones
Help
we had involvement. So, and then the third criteria is that we have very great confidence that they have decided not to have the abortion and they won't go through with it. They won't come back later.
Right.
Now, we have had a few that we've had to take off the list because they did come back later. You see them again. So,
but I bet you.
But that's rare. That's really rare. But
over the years, you have had women come back to you and show you their babies, haven't you?
Right.
Tell us some of those stories.
Well, often this will happen on the streets. So we're out in front of the abortion facility. We're out there praying and so forth, and the woman will drive up or walk down the sidewalk, depending upon the location, and they'll stop. They'll roll down the window. They'll have a child in the car. It could be an infant or it could be a toddler or older, and she'll just be all smiles and say, "Hey, I didn't even talk to anybody on the way in, but I want you to know, or when I left, I didn't tell anybody, but I want you to know, you guys
helped me.
You guys made the difference, and we're so happy and grateful."
That's great. That's
it's
awesome.
Always with big smiles. So
yeah,
that helps a lot when you go for hours out there, or weeks
in the sweltering heat of the summer,
Yeah,
in the freezing cold of the winter,
and the abuse.
Yeah,
The abuse, because people will come. Now, I have no signage. I don't like signage when I'm sidewalk counseling. I don't want anything that's going to interfere with the opportunity to talk to someone.
Right.
So even this is also part of our training. Now, the signage part, we do allow for sidewalk counselors to have signage, but we ask that they not be carrying them. Get them away from you a little bit at least.
Right.
Sometimes, but if you're going to have signage while sidewalk counseling, have it focused on what can help the woman.
Right.
Don't have pictures of aborted babies, for that purpose. I believe in those and using them, but not at this moment. Not at this moment, because we want this woman, again, we want to get in that conversation, and we can't do that if it's driving her in. We can drive her into the abortion. I can start yelling at her, drive her right in to go have her abortion.
Right.
Last thing I want to do, right?
Exactly.
So again, even with signage, so signage like this, now we're going to have signs, might have pictures of, we have some signs that we use sidewalk counseling where it's a picture of a young child or an unborn baby, some of those beautiful Life Institute photos, or a picture of a young woman who's showing that she's strong and capable with a child in the arm, that type of thing. And then the free help is on the signs and so forth.
Things like that.
Yeah.
So if people are interested in wanting to be trained to be a sidewalk counselor, let's say they don't live in Minneapolis, can you still help them?
Well, we can. We keep in contact with sidewalk counseling groups all across the country.
Yeah.
And sidewalk counselors are doing this. And there's a large national group now called Sidewalk Advocates, and they do a very good job as well. So there's the training that's available is all around the country is much better than it's been in decades. And it's really good right now.
And what's your website?
PLAM, short for Pro-Life Action Ministries.org.
Okay.
So PLAM.org, very simple. And there is a sidewalk counseling link right on there. Now, we also have the site sidewalkcouncil.org. Sidewalk Council spread out.org. So you can do that and go right to the same sidewalk. So we got the sidewalk counseling page on a little bit with the training and so forth right there.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So how would you say, Brian, over the decades you've been doing this, how many people have you trained, would you say, with sidewalk counseling?
Well, currently we have, with all the locations that we're at, we have about, I would say about 300 trained sidewalk counselors right now.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
not
amazing.
not all are scheduled going out right now.
Right.
Some are substitutes. Some have gone through a season of sidewalk counseling and now aren't. You know, different transitions and so forth. We have actively about 150 right now.
Wow. And at the clinic there, that Planned Parenthood in Minneapolis, how many days a week, for how many hours a day do you have people out there?
Well, we cover all the abortion facilities in the whole state of Minnesota.
Wow.
And we cover the abortion facilities in Central Florida because we have a branch office in Orlando. So that's the 150 trained sidewalk counselors going out. Planned Parenthood in St. Paul, we have they're a 6-day-a-week abortion facility, Monday through Saturday. They start taking women. The first appointment's at 8 in the morning. Last appointment is 2 in the afternoon, usually, sometimes 3. So we got people there, and now with this increase in the use of chemical abortions, the abortion pill, and because there is this abortion pill reversal process, now we're working hard on having people stay later so they're there as the women leave offer them the abortion pill reversal option.
That's great. Well, Brian, God bless all the work you're doing. And everyone at Pro-Life Action Ministries, may you continue to save those babies in all kinds of weather. So thanks for joining me today.
God bless you.
Okay. Well, brothers and sisters, thank you too for joining us. And maybe God is calling you to be trained as a sidewalk counselor. So go to plam.org and get involved today. Because remember, there are some abortions only you're going to be able to stop, and some lives only you will save. Join us again next time. Thank you and God bless.